Pink Ladies T-Birds just happen to be watchers in my shit. My name is JImmiPynk. I don't know what other reviews you've seen, but goddamn it, I'm going to give you the review that I know how to give, which is what makes an entertaining motherfucking movie.
I can't believe this. I fucking forgot my birthday.
So, I just came back, and I'm talking about like immediately, just came back from watching Solo, a Star Wars movie, and I gotta say, I'm very pleased. I know there are like super diehard Star Wars fans out there, and I am a Star Wars fan, but I wouldn't call myself the Star Wars geek to know all the backstories that's gonna catch all of the Easter eggs, even though I caught a couple. But I'm here to talk about a movie that's entertaining. And I'm here to talk about a movie that I think is good for the Star Wars franchise going forward. And I'll explain. This Star Wars movie is not really for the super hardcore Star Wars fan. The super hardcore Star Wars fan is going to kind of hate it. And I'm not going to lie, there was a lot of motherfucking lip smacks and eye rolls while I was in the theater. And not all of them is because I almost made it. I almost made it to a viewing with no kids. And right when the trailers came, here comes this big ass family with this kid. Can I have the popcorn? Oh, shut the fuck up. So there were some eye rolls about that too. Here's the thing. I feel like somebody that wouldn't be into Star Wars would like this movie. The action set pieces I liked a lot. I'm going to give spoilers, so just to let you know. The very first, like, real big action set piece we get is, like, this monorail that's, like, twisting and turning on this mountain. We get a little bit of Tandy Newton. The little pilot they had, which was, like, an alien creature. Like, I loved him. He was giving me a little bit of Rocket Raccoon about his attitude. Like, I was feeling him, but, of course, he doesn't make it. He was the pilot. So, we kind of knew he wasn't going to make it because eventually, we got to see Han Solo being a pilot, right? Obviously. I do like that we finally got the Kessel Run. For those of you guys that are not Star Wars fans, the Kessel Run is something that's in lore. He did the Kessel Run in under 12 parsecs. That's a big thing. We actually got to see it and how it was done in this film. And it was in the Millennium Falcon, and Lando was there. The way they got it, the Han would have to be the one to drive. I even like the way they did that. Lando Calrissian has a first mate that's a droid, L3. I did have a little bit of an eye roll with the whole making her like the fucking robot Harriet Tubman, like free the droids. It was a little much, but overall I really liked her character because she was a spunky female character, even though she was a droid. She was a spunky female character. I dug it. Of course, I was all about the Lando Calrissian. What shocked me was he was nowhere near my favorite character in the movie. He did a good job. He did a good job. But I thought like I was just going to be here living for Lando. I wasn't. He was a character in the movie. He was what I expect Lando Calrissian to be. Smooth, suave, debonair. You know. But then we did say he did have feelings for his first mate. And when the first mate, you know, got into trouble. I'm going to say light spoilers. I might not give everything. But when his first mate got into trouble, like, he was like, fuck this. He ran off the ship. He was trying to save her. I dug it. I thought Han Solo actually did a good job because this is, of course, not going to be Harrison Ford. Of course, it's not going to be older, grizzled. I've been doing dirt for however old I'm going to say he was supposed to be in the movies. Let's say 30. I think Harrison Ford was about 35 when he played him, so let's say 30, 35. Obviously, this is a Han Solo that when we first see him, he's about 16. Then we see him at about 19, which is where the film takes place. So, of course, he's not going to be as hardcore and grizzled. One thing I don't like, and this is the one thing that I didn't like about the prequels, episode 3. I hate when they make the storyline because it's about a bitch. I do. I really, really do. This was kind of a... For those of y'all that watch movies, if you've ever seen like 500 Days of Summer, where it looks like it's going to be a love story, even though they tell you flat out at the beginning this is not going to be a love story. We kind of got the same thing here. My favorite character, honestly, was motherfucking Daenerys. Okay, her name's not Daenerys in the movie, and it took me a minute to realize that that was Daenerys because I'm not a Game of Thrones watcher. However, when you're a nerd and you're a geek and you watch certain YouTube channels and you associate with certain people that like what you like, you hear about Game of Thrones a lot. So even though I don't watch it, I know the characters, I know the Mother of Dragons, I know Daenerys is the baddest bitch on the show. She the baddest bitch in this motherfucker too, let me tell you. She was Han's love interest. But they started out as kids, like really being in love. First of all, Han Solo basically was a stick-up kid. If y'all watch Orange is the New Black, Han Solo and Kira, who was Daenerys, was basically like how Tasty was with V, where like V was taking these kids in and they had nowhere to go, but you got to do my dirt to stay here. I'm gonna take care of you, but you got to do my dirt to stay here. And that's how Han Solo like grew up. And so did this Kira girl. So they thought they was gonna get away and be in love on some we can just be young, fuck the world and run away shit. Like I said, I assume they should have probably been like 16 years old at the time. It didn't work out. She got caught. But she survived. That's why she was my favorite character. I'm like, that bitch was sneaky con artist, conniver, but she was living. When they finally hook up back with each other again, this is his whole focus. The motherfucker was a fucking pilot for the fucking Imperials. Or the, yeah, like for the Imperial Army, the motherfucker that went to jail, he was about to get caught. So he ended up like enrolling. And he wanted to be a pilot. He's a, he basically ended up running away with Woody Harrelson and Danny Newton. But let's just say it's funny because it was this old white man, and I'm still probably gonna say it was probably his grandson, even though the grandson was looked like the grandson was like a goofy 17, 18-year-old. And we walk out the theater and he's like, "See, that's what you learn. You can never trust a thief." Everybody in the motherfucking movie is a thief. Everybody in the movie is a thief. Everybody. So really, there is no good guys. Of course, Han Solo is the protagonist. And it just shows the mightiness of Han Solo and why he is the way he is. And I dug that. Because overall, he did want to do the right thing by this girl. He didn't necessarily want to do the right thing. He wanted to do the right thing by this girl. He was trying to save this girl and be with her because he loved her. And you know what? She loved him too. But at the end of the day, she like, "Nigga, you been gone for 4 years. I done built myself up. I'm in the Crimson Dawn now." She got the brand on her thing. She like, "I'm damn near the motherfucking head bitch around these parts." I mean, she kind of was. She was the lieutenant. She was the lieutenant to Paul Bettany, Vision, who was the bad guy. I forgot what his name was. But, you know, they like rich and sophisticated. That's why like she was digging Lando Calrissian because they was like upper class, you know. They was basically the mob, is a good way to put that. Like they basically was like the mob. They running shit, but they the dirty motherfuckers, but they running shit. You go to their party, it's fabulous. You know, and she come out and she G'd up, she clean, you know. They was calling them sewer rats. Because basically like that's where they lived at, for lack of a better word. And you know, she cleaned up nice, she got money now, she taken care of. Yeah, she had to do some dirty shit to survive. But so did Han. Han abandoned the fucking army. Basically he went AWOL. Just to try to get back to this girl and save her, even though it had been some years. But she saved herself. That's why I liked her. She saved herself. She was like, "You know what? You grew up a criminal and we ain't had no choice, but I grew up a criminal. And I ain't had no choice either. And I rose up through the ranks and I'm here, bitch." And that's what I love about it, because at the end she took her leader out and went to the big boss. Click, click, boom. Guess who the big boss was, y'all? Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. The big boss was motherfucking Darth Maul. I said, listen, I'm in the theater with motherfucking Star Wars novices. And I know it because the shit that I'm giggling at, ain't nobody make a motherfucking sound. And I'm giggling at shit. Like, it's shit that's hilarious. Han Solo starts speaking Wookiee. I think that shit was hilarious because that's a key thing that nobody ever understands. How the fuck do Han Solo understand what Chewbacca is saying? They introduced it to us. He speaks Wookiee, not fluently, but enough. He can understand it. He can speak it a little bit. How him and Han met, I liked. Because basically Han Solo saved his life. So that was like an ongoing thing. I like when they were trying to get to the plan. That Chewbacca's whole thing is like, my planet is all, they took them all as slaves. They went to the thing where the slave was at. He seen him. He was like, that's cool. We gonna get this money. But if I got to, I'm gonna free my people. It was a very, very strong moral story of people being freed. People that were basically slaves or imprisoned or forced to do stuff to survive, of being free. I would say, if anything, was the overarching, what's the word I'm looking for? The overarching, I can't think of the word. Shit. The overarching theme of the movie was freedom. The overarching thing of the movie was freedom, and also the overarching theme was don't trust nobody but yourself. Even though Chewie and Han was on that shit. Also, if you're not a casual Star Wars fan, at least, you may not know that we already knew that Han Solo won the Millennium Falcon from gambling with Lando Calrissian. And the way they brought that storyline together, I loved. I like that we got to see Lando as this smooth, cool facade all the time until his first mate was about to die. And then we seen like, oh shit, he does actually care about somebody. So that was the thing. And everybody, it was survival. It was, what can you do to survive? It was freedom. How can I get out of what I need to get out of? How long can I last? Was the overarching theme. And, you know, there was a lot of twists and turns and backs turning on each other. It was a bunch. And like I said, Daenerys was my favorite character because that bitch was using these men like, oh, you love me, you trust me. Boom! Then I'm going to turn around and throw you under the bus. Boom! Like, she about to be the head bitch. If they ever do Solo Part 2, she probably going to be the big bad because she going to be she next in line. And I was feeling that. I like the way that they set up the wardrobe that, because these were like higher class people with the exception of like Han and, you know, the smugglers. But like Lando was rich and fly. The Red Dawn people was rich and fly. And it was a thing that somebody chose to go with high-waisted palazzo pants on everybody. But it fucking worked because it made it seem like, okay, this would be what this would be like in this society. I love that. I really thought Daenerys did a good job. I know that, like, she's always going to be known for Game of Thrones. I thought she did a really good job. Like I said, I think the actor that did Han Solo did a very good job. I really do. Because I can see that person after 15, 16, 20, 50, once we get to, you know, the stage where we're at in Star Wars now before Han Solo got killed. Spoiler alerts if you didn't ever see the last Star Wars movies, episode 7, particularly, you could see him becoming that person, and still having that sense of in the back of his head, and and there was little stuff that was a little bit too on the nose, like him and Daenerys was trying to make this plan, and she like, no, you don't understand, you don't know what type of shit I did, like, you don't know me, like, oh, you an outlaw, no, you're the good guy, like, there was some stuff like that was ugly. Like, I didn't like, after they did the parcel run, like, he fucked the Millennium Falcon up. Mind you, the Millennium Falcon is not his yet, it's Lando Calrissian's. And Lando Calrissian looks at him after they get done and they landed, and he looks at his ship, and his ship's all fucked up. He's like, I hate you. And Han Solo was like, I know. I'm like, groin! groin. Like, those type of throwbacks, I was like, groin. The fact that they used, like, when they was in the war, the Darth Vader theme, and the fact that they were using, like, the actual John Waters Star Wars theme in parts to pull at that fucking nostalgia, I kind of didn't like. Because I felt like, yes, the fact that you have the characters that you have are already tied into the original Star Wars. The movie is not called Solo. The movie is called Solo, a Star Wars story. I felt like they pushed that a little bit too much. When L3 was freeing all the other droids, we heard C-3PO's voice. He wasn't shiny and gold yet, so I guess he got remade over, but we heard C-3PO. I'm like, whatever. The fact that they needed to do something and all of a sudden Chewie started doing it in the ship, and it was like, you're 190 years old? Oh, when did you learn to fly a ship? Oh, because you're 190 years old. That still doesn't explain how he learns how to fly a ship. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like since he'd been talking about he was a great pilot this whole time, that's a conversation him and Chewie should have already had. So, there are some things in the movie, there are some jokes that do not work at all, Lord Miller. There were some that did. Like, when they were trying to negotiate and these people came up that they thought were pirates, but really they were the good guys. They're going to be the people that this is probably pretty much leading into Rogue One, because these are the people that start the rebellion from all these different lands that the Crimson Dawn, which is, you know, the underworld of the Empire, basically had tore all these people's home planets and stuff down. These are the people that survived and was fighting the good fight. And Han Solo tries to bluff his way out of it when Woody Harrelson is handling it. And he like, you see that ship right there? It's 30 armed guns. And Lando Calrissian said, fuck this shit. And flew off. Oh, I was tickled. I was tickled. Nobody else in the theater laughed. So there was a couple of jokes that landed, but I think that you would have to be a little bit more familiar with Star Wars characters, what their personalities are to laugh. But there were a lot of jokes that just did not land at all. This movie would not pass. Whatever the test is with the women. If it's a women empowerment movie, it's not. The one thing I did have a problem with is just the sheer insanity of the droid talking about, like, basically droid lives matter. Basically, like I said, they was making her like the Harriet Tubman of the robots, but you're complaining about that to a black man. Now, I understand we all off in space, but the reason why I like Lando Calrissian so much is because that was the only black person in the original fucking 3. So I'm like, and he's a smuggler. I'm like, yeah, pretty sure he ain't getting it that fucking great around here either, you dig? But, I did like the part where she was trying to say, like, that was a little funny part where she was saying, like, Lando really cared for her, but he didn't feel she didn't feel the same way, and sometimes she think about it when she was talking to Daenerys. I'm gonna keep calling her Daenerys, fuck it. And, Daenerys is kind of looking at her like, yeah, okay. But then that came to fruition at the end that he really did love that goddamn droid. And she like, well, how does that work? And she's like, it works. Like, so he was fucking a droid, y'all. Lando Calrissian was fucking a droid. Or doing something with the droid, sexual. This pansexual shit, I feel like had more to do with that than anything. Like, she makes a dope when he's talking to Han about, like, flying plane, because obviously Han wants to be a pilot, but this is Lando's ship at this point. This is before Lando gets shot in the arm and he can't fly. And he's like, okay, you can stop flirting now. And I'm just like, okay, but that was just kind of like a tongue-in-cheek. Stop flirting. I don't really think he was... This pansexual thing is fucking stupid. Let's just say he fucks other species besides human. Cut it out with the pandering to the LGBT community. We didn't need Lando Calrissian to be fucking pansexual, okay? Let's just say he a freak. He in the galaxy. Can we even say there is such thing as sexuality when they're, you know... I guess there is, but... Hey, this is also the movie where somebody's sister kissed their goddamn brother. Let's not look too far into the sexuality of Star Wars. But anyway, overall, I thought the action was great. The story is 2 different movies. And the story is simple. But I don't think you need it anymore if you're trying to bring in new Star Wars fans. Because this was just not hard sci-fi. It wasn't. It wasn't hard sci-fi like the other Star Wars movies is. This was basically Fast and the Furious in space. Is what it was. They smuggling. They got, you know, they got a job to do. It's some illegal shit. It's basically the equivalent of fucking car races and shootouts. Except for it's with hovercrafts and spaceships and phasers. No lightsabers, because we ain't nothing with the Jedis yet. And I like that too. That they didn't try to squeeze that in, even though they tried to squeeze in that little C-3PO that I wasn't feeling. But other than that, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. I liked it better than Episode 7. I liked it better than all 3 of the prequels. I haven't seen Rogue One and I haven't seen The Last Jedi because the reviews for The Last Jedi, that's why I try so hard if it's something I want to see, to try to see it the weekend it opens, because the shit that I'm subscribed to on YouTube is nerdy as fuck, and that's all they talking about. So now I get to watch some of that shit. Honestly, if you're somebody that's like, I don't get into sci-fi, I don't get into Star Wars, if you like the Fast and the Furious or the Italian Job or heist movies, or shootouts and stuff, you'll like this. And if you're somebody that likes action set pieces, they're here. They're definitely here. I think that's what they focused on more. One last thing, and I'm going to leave you with this. One thing that did take me out the movie very quickly, and it was when we really meet L3. Because they're in like some den somewhere, because Lando is a gambler. He out there playing cards, he gambling, and they got droid fights instead of dog fights. And L3 is like, this is ridiculous, you know, because she's a social droid warrior. And the person that's running the fights is Clint Howard. Ron Howard, I know you keep trying to, you make sure I'm making sure your brother got a living. I dig it, because if I had money like that, my sister, my niece, my mom, my dad would be in every movie in a cameo, even if they was just in the background. But you get paid more for a line, so they'd have a line somewhere, even if it got cut from the movie, because you get paid whether they shoot it or not, if you negotiate your contract right. But they would be there. However, Clint Howard is such an odd-looking dude, and we know the whole story about how they took the movie from Lord and Miller and gave it to Ron Howard. Him being in that scene was just like, okay, dude, really, this was we spent all this money on reshoots so you can stick your brother in there. I felt the way about that, and that kind of took me out the movie for a hot second. But overall, it was really good, entertaining. I recommend it. I recommend you go see it if you're not a real Star Wars fan. You can wait. It'll go to the dollar movie. It ain't life-changing. It ain't like Black Panther where I was like, no, go see this. This is everything. It wasn't like Black Panther. It's not fucking epic, life-changing, culturally relevant type of thing. But it was a good movie. It was a good movie. It was entertaining. It's better than some of the shit that I just sat here and watched on fucking Netflix over the weekend. So, with that being said, I would like to thank my patrons, as I always do. I appreciate y'all, and I need y'all more than ever. I love y'all to death. To the people that donated to my PayPal as well and gave me birthday gifts this week. Also, to my Pink Ladies and T-Birds, there is no channel without you, and I'm finally over 3,000. It took me long enough. Now the next goal is 10. I think I'll just say the next goal is 5, even though it don't move my monetization or how much money I make off of it. But that's a more realistic goal. So we got about 1,998 to go the last time I checked to get to 5,000. So share, like, subscribe, comment, all that shit. Make YouTube make notice, which make YouTube put my video in more people's hands, which means I get more subscribers, which means I can give y'all more and better content. So if you're not a Pink Lady or T-Bird, that simply means you're not subscribed to my channel. You can become part of the House of Grease by clicking on Sailor Jimmy at the end of the video or down below. And you can click that notification bell so that you know when I do any other movie reviews or all the other good stuff that I review around these parts. So I would like to thank all of y'all. I would tell y'all, may the force be with you, but the force ain't in this goddamn movie. So just keep it greasy. Deuces.
Kamehameha, attackers blazing, I'm so amazing. Japanimation, the anime on your cartoon station. So fulfilling, no adults swimming for about an hour. Revealing power, unorthodox amongst these cowards. Full transformation for Optimus Prime transformation. A good vibration from